The most prominent reason for Celtic mythology's mysterious nature is because of conversion. See, in the 5th century, Christianity flooded into Ireland and Scotland, which led to the local lore and mythology getting all messed up, since Christians don't really like it when we try to tell them that there are gods other than their own. Because of this, the Christianized version of Celtic religion is all that we have to go off now because they are forever lost in time. It's pretty common for mythologies and religions to have some sort of creation myth, which is an explanation for how the world and universe came into existence. Celtic mythology does not have one single true creation myth, as there are so many interpretations on where life and universe began. So basically in the beginning there was nothing but the void, which is literally nothingness, emptiness forever. But then one day, the void had a vision of all the things it was capable of being and was like, oh my god, I'm so inspired, and got all happy. In the rush of all those emotions emerged Dawn and Danu. When the two saw each other, they fell deeply in love and embraced each other so tightly they almost became one being. Soon after, Dawn and Danu had lots of kids. Because how close they were, the children couldn't actually escape from the womb because, their bodies are pressed against each other, so... Among the children was Brian, who soon realized, hey y'all, if we don't get out of here soon, we're gonna, die. And no one wanted that. So Brian went to his mom and was like, girl, it's either me or him. And Danu, being the great mother that she was, she chose her children up for her husband and was like, okay, cut his ass up. So that's what he did. Brian split his father into 9 pieces, and the children were saved. But since Danu just watched her husband get cut the fuck up, she cried a lot. And there were so many tears that her children all got flushed away to the earth. Then 2 red acorns fell from above and landed in some soil, to which Danu recognized one of them as Dawn. So she cried once again and watered the seeds. One of the seeds took root and grew into a beautiful oak tree, a reincarnation of Dawn. The other acorn grew into Dawn's brother, Finn. The tree became so nurtured by the water from heaven that it grew berries that dropped down and became the first humans. In another version of the creation myth, a white stallion named Ioka, made of sea foam, emerged from the ocean and took bark from the tree and shaped the first humans with it. Those first humans couldn't die, so they became lazy. So then Tree Dawn and his brother started talking, and Dawn said, you know what? These humans are lazy. We need something to spice things up. These bitches need to die. But then Finn was like, no, I want to live. So then they started fighting. But then Finn ends up being killed by his brother Dawn, who becomes so guilty that he just killed his brother that his heart bursts apart. And then his exploded tree body renews the world. Even with the struggle to prevent death, it came to the humans anyway. So with all that, they still ended up dying. The roots from the tree grew deep below the ground and created the otherworld, which is where the humans went after they died. Dawn became the god of the underworld, and Danu remained the goddess of heaven, their love strong despite the distance between them. So that's the story of how humans and death and the earth came to be. Celtic mythology differs from other pantheons because it has to do more with the people's relationships with nature, rather than psychological concepts like greed and jealousy. Despite this, it has its own legends and epics, the most notable one being Cuchulainn, a magical guy who's super strong. Cuchulainn has this little quirk called warp spasm, where his body turns inside out, he loses control of himself, and becomes this hulking monster. So Cuchulainn grows up to be hot, and the men in the village don't like that, so they try their hardest to get him married so he'll stop stealing all the women away. Whole time, Cuchulainn only has eyes for one girl, Emmer, the daughter of this guy Forgol Monarch, who doesn't really like him for some reason. Forgol Monarch is like, if you want to marry my daughter, you prove to me that you're worthy. So then he sends him off on a quest with the intent that it'll kill him in the process. Forgol Monarch tells him to go train with the warrior goddess Skaha, who is this powerful and mysterious Amazonian woman who lives on an island by herself. She then teaches him how to use this cool spear she made that explodes with barbs upon contact with someone's flesh. There's also this guy Ferdiad, who's also training under Skaha, and the two of them become best friends. Everything is going swell until Skaha's twin sister Aoife shows up and challenges her to a fight to the death. She doesn't want the boys to know about this, so she slips them a sleeping potion so they won't butt in. It doesn't work on Cuchulainn though, so he wakes up and then proceeds to beat up Aoife. He spares her life on the condition that she stops her beef with Skaha, and then have his baby. Cuchulainn returns home to marry Emmer, but their father is still like, no. So he storms the castle, kills people, and runs off with his bride. Celtic mythology has lots of cool gods and goddesses that are in charge of different aspects of human life. The most prominent, and my most favorite, is the Morrigan, goddess of war. She's also the patroness of edgy things like femininity, magic, and revenge. So she's this cool emo girl who can turn into things like a raven and flies up a battlefield choosing who wins and who dies. She is also sometimes 3 different people who can also be her sisters. She's so powerful that she fucked this guy who's going to war and blessed his ass. And then because she fucked him, he won the war. So imagine your pussy so good that you make someone win a war. Period. Then there's the Binyi, a goddess of death who comes in the form of an old hag, who is seen washing bloody armor in a river. If the person who's here is a warrior, that means that the person is going to die soon in battle. Angus is the Irish equivalent to Cupid, the god of love. He has a couple birds around him all the time that he uses to captivate women. Bridget is the goddess of fire and birth. She's nice. Epona is the goddess of horses, so she's basically a horse girl. I'm kind of only talking about the female goddesses because I kind of think the male gods are kind of boring. So yeah, even though Celtic mythology is forever lost in time, well, some parts of it, it still has some influences on our today's society. The end.